Hello everyone, my name is Field Marshal Hellsch and welcome to the second episode of Frontline Gaming.
Mein kleines Herz schlägt nur für dich, zählt die Stunden, bis du wiederkehrst, dann umarmst du mich, mein kleines Herz.
Today we're going to be talking about and playing some more Red Orchestra since we got a lot of good feedback on that. So again, welcome back. And it seems like there was a lot of good, like I said, mostly good video, and I'm glad you guys liked it. So today we're going to be talking about it's a personal thing for me, and I generally, when I'm talking about war, I usually like to talk about what was in it and how it could have turned out and the political battleground. And what I mean by political battleground, if you're what governments and type of governments were playing roles during, and it's just truly an amazing. World War II is fantastic to look at because you have this wide political spectrum of governments and soldiers, and it's just an extremely great thing to look at. So now we're going to start out with the political background, since we're going to be we're fighting that close to home. Alright, the political spectrum of World War II. Well, we'll start with the year 1933 or 1934. Adolf Hitler is elected as Chancellor. Wow. Adolf Hitler is elected Chancellor, but later turns himself into the Führer of Germany and renames his glorious country Nazi Germany. He claims that the Reich, his Third Reich, will last for 1,000 years. Now, of course, it did not last 1,000 years, and to be honest, it didn't last any excess amount of years. It actually lasted, well, you can do the math on your own. 1930. The Reich was founded in 1934, and it fell in 1945. So you can do the self-math on your own. And of course, this Reich did not last 1,000 years. So another great thing about the political spectrum is that you had World War I still embedded in the battleground. You had the hatred of from the Germans from Versailles, and that the glorious German motherland was reduced to basically rubble, and you basically, okay, I'm gonna just sneak past here. So basically the political background is that you have Germany's hate, and you got this new rising movement called communism that was brought by Lenin and Marx around the 1920s, and this was starting to flourish in the Soviet Union, and it actually wasn't working as well as some people thought it was thought to have worked. I mean, yes, it did its job, but it didn't really work as planned. The government, in fact, that probably worked the best was fascism and militarism. World War II governments such as Fascist Italy, Imperial Japan, Nazi Germany. Those guys were the game changers, because at this time you had the Commonwealth of Britain and the United States. You had all these allied countries, and it was really just turning into this weird amalgamation of democracies. Well, that day in 1939, when World War II started, people were taught that a democracy, like a peace-loving world with democracies, wouldn't fail. It wouldn't work. When Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, the Reich set out on a gigantic, unstoppable conquest for land and power, and they did so by using a tactic that we know today as the Blitzkrieg. Now, the Blitzkrieg is commonly known, by its regular name, Blitzkrieg. Some people may know it, some people may not know the full extent of it. Blitzkrieg is the German word for literal meaning lightning war. Blitz being lightning, Krieg being war. So there's your little German lesson for today. Okay, that guy's a good shot. I probably got a couple bullets in him now. So the Blitzkrieg really changed the battleground, because if you actually look at warfare from the following years, from the 1700s to the 1800s to the 1900s, from World War I, you had this weird shift from where warfare used to be perceived as used to fight in lines and shoot at each other. Okay, that was a little bit weird, my bad. Alright, welcome back. Sorry for that poor game feed. I just joined this game. So as I was saying, oh, by the way, just to inform you, we are playing on the, one of my favorite maps, and one of my first plays maps in Red Orchestra is the Winterwald. Winterwald is one of my favorite maps because it's, I don't know about you, but I love winter. And whenever winter pops into my mind, I always get this idea of like little fortresses, having fun in the snow, and just these cool creations just come to my mind. So if you like winter, leave a comment down below. Maybe I'll try and get into more winter matches. If you guys want more urban matches, like in Summer Stalingrad, go ahead, leave a comment down below, and which match you prefer me to join. Because here at Frontline Gaming, we're not about, this isn't about us, this is about you, you the player. So, we're assaulting the bunkers up on the hill. Bruno's probably going to die. So, as I was saying, we have as I was saying about the this new background of this new type of war. We've had the Blitzkrieg, and the Blitzkrieg is phenomenal because you had the Blitzkrieg, and no one really knew how to prepare themselves, especially Polish, because you had guys with tanks and planes, which are not biplanes, let me remind you, and these advanced troops. With these advanced troops running directly at you, and it's just, it was devastating to you'd think in a war like this, it would be devastating to the people that use this tactic, which would be the Germans, but it was actually kind of devastating to the people it was inflicted upon, which you don't get a lot with these. Oh, looks like I'm bleeding out. You see in my last video, I explained what it was like if you got hit in a gut or a vital organ and you could not bandage yourself. Your screen slowly starts to fade into a black, but you can still control your guy, so you can still weakly sight in and try and shoot whatever you were aiming at. But anyway, back to the Blitzkrieg. A lot of countries fell to the Blitzkrieg, including France. Now, people were like, well, France was a weak country anyway. France really didn't have a lot of military strength. Well, that can be the case. But there is... Oh, ice. I could see where you're getting at with France being militarily weak, but that's not entirely true. France had the Mangoit line. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, but they had basically a line of defenses, kind of like the Atlantic Wall, that would protect them from invasion if Germany wanted to start more with a new war. Alright, well. So, and Germany saw the flaw. The Mangoit line was not, or the Manget line, however you pronounce it, sorry. I don't want to try and pronounce something that I don't think I can pronounce. It proved really ineffective because the French really didn't think about putting it in the Ardennes, because, you know, who would be stupid enough to put their troops through the Ardennes forest, which is located in Belgium, to France. And of course, since Germany was a land of innovation, you really had just an open spot in your defensive line, and it was devastating for people because it was devastating for France because, you know, they caught them off guard. It wasn't very effective, even though they thought it was foolproof. The Blitzkrieg also almost worked on Britain, but Britain was like Germany. They developed technology fast and, excuse me, they developed technology fast and were able to output it very quickly. So that's the only reason that the British, my bad, were able to survive the Blitzkrieg onslaught. It's like a... We'll jump that artillery strike. So this way. There we go.
Das war knapp.
So, the beauty of the Blitzkrieg was that it worked, and it put fear in people. Which, if you think about it, 1700s you were just in a line shooting at each other. 1800s you kind of developed a little bit of guerrilla combat. And you had a little bit of guerrilla combat, not too much, still kind of fighting in lines and giant armies shooting at each other. But, you know, it eventually, it got better. In the 1900s you had trenches, like the trench I'm fighting now, for example. You'd have just shooting at each other from trenches because some guy thought it would be a really great idea to hide in a trench and set up a machine gun, which is where the machine gun came from, with the development of rifles and more guns.
Ich weiß nicht, ob tot ist. Verdammt! Bin gleich soweit. In Position. Ich habe fast keine Munition mehr. Ach, ist das Ziel getroffen? Mir geht bald die Munition aus.
Alright, basically what my guy is saying, if you don't know German as I do, my guy is basically trying to say that he's running low on ammunition, which I have been sitting here for quite a long time, and I'm surprised I haven't gotten shot yet. And good, we've captured the trenches. So I will trying. Looks like I still have 3 magazines left, which is good. And if you can't tell, my MP40 looks a little bit different from the stereotypical one because I'm level 25 with this weapon. I've used it so much. By far, one of the best weapons, which is actually leading into my next topic of the evolution of weaponry. Weaponry, if you really think about it, evolved most during wartime, with the one exception of the American Mafia using the Thompson submachine gun. But we won't really include that. I mean, it was a great success, and come to think, you did basically have, you did.
Hey, Feuer einstellen! Feuer einstellen!
I'm trying to pick up a rifle from this guy. Oh, STV. Good. So, the great thing about war is that you have new technological advances that you didn't think were possible before, which is World War I got basically brought upon the first machine gun. It brought upon the first machine gun. Alright, so it brought upon the first machine gun, and it also brought upon the first real rifle besides a musket. And this was legendary because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the Germans were one of the first countries to develop a semi-auto rifle, which, or a bolt-action rifle, which was the Gewehr 98. And you've heard me talk about it in my last video, I believe. And it was basically a bolt-action semi-auto. It contained more than one round, and it was overall if you look in history, it basically just kicked off the evolution of the gun. Oh, I see. Alright, I'll bandage myself so I don't bleed out. This guy is trying very hard to get rid of me. Otto, you idiot! Ah, this I was wondering why I was out of ammo. But World War II. After World War I, you had a bunch of rifles, and you didn't know what to do with them, and you had a bunch of machine guns. Well, the Germans had a great idea, and the idea was, well, what about these occasions when you have a bunch of guys rushing towards you, and you can't really, and you don't really have the time to use a full-fledged rifle? Now this was the beauty of the submachine gun, which was the Germans' first creation, the MP40. Looks like I got him. Yep. And the MP40 stood for Machine and Pistol Diazig. The MP40 used 9mm rounds, whereas the machine gun would use smaller rounds. The rifle would use, or no, my bad. I'm thinking of the assault rifle. An MP40 would use, the MP40 would use a 9mm round, and the 9mm round proved effective taking down very tough targets, and just was a basic success to the German army. Now, it differed because you had the standard rifle. Every time it seems like those guys are still coming. You had the standard rifle bullet, which was about the size of, well, you're probably about, I don't know, rifle ammunition that well. But I'm going to say about the size of your pointer finger. And the thing about the MP40 is that although the round was smaller and it didn't do as much damage, it did an adequate, the amount of damage that it dealt made up for it in quantity. So you could have a bolt-action rifle shooting one deadly shot once. You could have one bullet. Sorry, I'm just trying to. If I'm going blank here, I'm just trying to generally. 40 meters. All right. So I'm sorry if I'm getting mixed up with my wording here, and I hope it's not too bad. But I tend to do that when I'm trying to concentrate. But basically, in the short run, the submachine gun used a smaller round, and although this, like I said, this may prove ineffective because it dealt less damage. But the thing that it did do is it made up for in the amount that it fired. Like, capacity. I'm thinking of another word, and I can't exactly picture the word right now. TV40. So basically, what came out of this was a submachine, a deadly new weapon. See, as this guy's using a frequent here, the Germans loved this weapon because it was a very effective weapon, and it almost won them the war. Troops loved the MP40. It came with 32 9mm, and it had a rapid succession of fire. That is the word I was looking for. It had a rapid succession of fire that it just wrecked hell upon the enemy. And later in the war, you had a lot of guys saying, well, we have guerrilla warfare, and these submachine guns are becoming cracked, and the machine guns can't pick them off. Machine gun, that would be really great now. So they're complaining to their generals and the weapon creationists, and they're saying, well, listen, we need something that shoots like a rifle, but has the ability of a submachine gun. And basically, this is what the assault rifle can do. Now, I think I mentioned this in the last video, that the assault rifle was actually, people think it was the Germans that created, or that the Russians created, sorry. But it was actually the Germans that created this, the first assault rifle, because you had a, it was called the MP44, or for others of us, you have, it's better known as the STG-44. And the STG-44 was basically, it stood for Sturmgewehr 44. And what was great about it is that the weapon creationists actually did what the soldiers asked them to. They developed a rifle that shot like a rifle. It had a bullet like a rifle, and it had the firing capacity of it had the firing capacity of a submachine gun, and thus the assault rifle was born. And the STG-44 was kind of clunky, being the first assault rifle. It wasn't obviously going to be perfect, but some German soldiers had mixed feelings about it. Sometimes it was, some loved it, some hated it. It was kind of one of those, mixed polls where you really didn't know what was, who liked it and who didn't. But in the end, it actually worked so well as to, and a lot of people will disagree with me on this, especially ones that are pro-Russian. They will say no, the Kalashnikov AK-47 was the first assault rifle. What you didn't know is Mikhail Kalashnikov, the developer of the AK-47, took the gas-powered design from the STG-44 and the general concept design and modified it so that it basically was a better version of this STG-44. And a lot of people say that it works different, but if you go onto Google and Google an STG-44 and AK-47, actually, just Google an STG-44 if you don't know what it looks like. Everyone probably knows what an AK-47 looks like, but the mechanics are stunningly similar. And it was just this stupid thing. And McKinley took it with his death. He's never released that. He even went as so far as to deny that he stole the IP, which is incredible. Because I don't know why you would try and hide something that was blatantly stolen. But he took the quote-unquote secret to his death. And that's the story of the first assault rifle. So enough of my blabbering, and I might cut it off here, I might not, depending on what I might do. But I might try and continue my rants about political backgrounds for the World War, the Second World War. And so you had the Western democracies. This guy. I think this guy's trying to get behind our lines and shoot our guys up. I don't know why I'm gonna do that. Okay, guys, that was a hacker in action. You don't really get a lot of hackers on Red Orchestra, but they're not uncommon. You catch one or two of them. But anyway, the political background of the World Wars that basically had, well, it can be described like this. Okay, well, this is matches one. World War II kind of worked like this. You had the Western democracies that were kind of all scared because they kept trying to appease Hitler, which is obviously not the right thing to do. And that's what Neville Chamberlain tried to do. Tried to give Hitler Czechoslovakia and all those countries, but the amazing thing is that it didn't work, which I don't know why you would think it would work. But what happened later is a war broke out, which is kind of amazing. So anyway, I will cut this video here, and I hope you enjoyed. This has been Field Marshal Hellsch, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Wir geben 2 Trupps über rechts, noch 2 Mann. Jawohl. Und? Freiwillige? Warte. Schmidt, im Leutnant. Hartmann, das LMG gibt Feuerschutz. Gib Schmidt dein Gewehr, du Kasper. Freitag, Koch und Lewinsky mit mir. Es wird dir zeigen, was wir heute geschätzt haben. Ich kann nichts hören! Marsch!